What is going on, everybody? This is Mr. Crazy Jacob here, keeping gaming 20% cooler, and today I wanted to make a review on The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 5, the video game. So, first of all, may I just state that this game can either be one of the saddest endings you've ever had, and the most happiest sad ending you've ever had. This game is seriously the most great made, the most well made, and just love and care, so much love and care put in this game, and I just love the results of the game, depending on your choice. There's one result that just royally pisses me off. A second result's like, I guess my result, I think I got the best happy ending, but I mean, it's all depending on who you decide to. But okay, so what happens in its episode 2 season dead? And yes, this contains spoilers, so go watch. So basically, in the last episode, you have you're like traveling because Kenny forces everybody to get moving on the road because he knows it's gonna get colder. Which in that particular point, I was in agreement with Kenny. And basically, they're on the road, but a bunch of Russians just come out of nowhere. The kid comes out of nowhere, and a bunch of Russians attack him on the road. And everybody, basically, spoiler, as I said before, it becomes this big long combat. Actually, I said nothing before. Anyway, so they get into this big combat, and like I said before, though, this is what I was going to say, spoiler alerts. Everybody manages to make it out alive. Depending on your choice, somebody will get shot, possibly. Which I don't think, they probably get shot anyway, I'm not sure, but, I don't think it doesn't make a big, difference on the story. But, basically, you got this Russian kid, and the Russian kid's the only one that doesn't get killed of all the Russians. And, Kenny is going to kill him when everybody stands up for this Russian kid, who was just a decoy so that they could kill these guys or loot them, kill them and loot them. So, in that point, I was in agreement with Kenny, and I have to say, guys, through this entire story, it seems like Kenny is completely right, and that's something with The Walking Dead, with this particular episode. They wanted to go out of their way to make sure that, in the end, Kenny was right, always. And I don't inherently know if that's a good thing. I mean, at the end, depending on your choice, I mean, I'm just going to have to say Kenny was right for just about every choice in this thing. So if you're 100% side of Kenny, there's going to be a good ending. I'm sorry, guys, that's the truth. And to be completely honest, I really like Kenny anyway. But so going on, you got this kid, before Kenny kills him, says that he's got supplies and that he can take him there. And so Kenny finally gives in after the group, yammers him to death. And they end up walking there. And, of course, they take some breaks. And then you got, like, a really, really fun and enjoyable, moment where you just smile the entire time. It's like a happy moment for, like, 30 seconds, of course. But you got where everybody's sitting around at a campfire in a closed gate, just having a good time, laughing. They have a little bit of alcohol, and, they're having a good time, good old time, getting drunk and other things. And if I may state here really quickly, within this episode, they got out of their way to make Kenny the most bitterest, coldest, most, hating, regretful character in its series. He hates everybody. He's like just a complete douchebag to everybody except you as the player. And they go out of their way, as a Clementine, I'm afraid, sorry. And they go out of their way to show this, like, daughter-father relationship, kind of, like, bondage with Kenny, so that you bond with Kenny, which is going to play a significant role at the end of the story, which you'll see, which I'll get to in a second. So they're continuing on, where basically they come across this river, and they're walking across the river, and the Russian guy starts running. So Kenny starts chasing after him, and just about everybody gets across except one guy, which you'll have to go watch the walkthrough. If you haven't already, then you know what I'm talking about. But no matter what you do, you can't save this particular guy. And so Kenny blames the Russian guy, and everybody else blames Kenny. But we as the audience knows that it wasn't Kenny or the Russian guy's fault. It was just, a bad coincidence that this particular character had gotten in a particular part of the iceberg cracked. And so Clementine fell in the water trying to save him, and now she's freezing, and she, like, passed out from probably hypothermia. Is that even a thing? I'm probably wrong about that. Frostbite, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so anyway, so Kenny, the Russian guy, like, is really hating Kenny, and, like, he says F you, and so Kenny starts beating the crap out of him until you as the player stop Kenny or stop Mike. And at this point, I freaking hated that Russian guy, and I nothing against Russians, but this particular guy I just hated for one reason. But so you got Mike, and he's, like, attacking he's trying to stop Kenny. And so, as I said, you can either let Kenny beat the crap out of him, which he will not kill him, but he'll beat the crap out of him, or you can say stop, which I think Michael just end up stopping Kenny anyway. But anyway, so then everybody's sleeping now. Everybody hates Kenny. He's resentful. Everybody just is afraid of Kenny, I'd have to say. Which, to be completely honest, nobody trusts Kenny, and the only one that Kenny's really open up to is Clementine, because his history with Clementine and Lee before Lee died and everything. But so the truck. So there's a truck, and after he beats the crap out of this Russian guy, he goes and works on the truck, but and he's able to actually get it working after entire day's worth of work on it, and so everybody's asleep now when Clementine starts hearing this thing on the window, and she goes outside to go see what's going on, and she sees Mike. I think her name is Boom or something. Bonnie, that's it. Mike, Bonnie, and this Russian kid. And she sees them with all the supplies, and basically what this implies is they were just going to leave Clementine, Jane, and Kenny just to starve to death in the cold winter with no vehicle or anything. And so they're loading up the truck when the Russian guy, he has he has a rifle, and Mike is trying to calm down Kenny. And no matter what, you can't shoot them. But anyway, the black guy manages to get the gun off of Clementine, no matter what outcome, and no matter what outcome, the Russian guy, like a douchebag. This is why I hate the Russian guy with a passion. I don't have a passion for hating people, but okay, that's like saying I hate cats with a passion. That makes no sense. Okay, anyway, so I just really hate this Russian guy. So he ends up shooting Clementine for absolutely no reason, and then Mike, Bonnie, and the Russian guy make off with the supplies, and I think the truck. No, they don't make off with the truck. That's right. You start hearing Kenny, and he runs outside. But what I got out of it was, and I might be wrong, so if you guys know anything different, please let me know in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure that Kenny went out there and he killed them, all three of them, Bonnie, Mike, and the Russian guy. Because when you wake up, you hear Mike say, "What?" You hear Kenny run out and say, "What the heck happened?" And then you all of a sudden it goes black and you wake up in the truck. So all I can assume is, first of all, when you think about it, the Russian guy has a gun, and I think I'm going too deep and too much in depth with this, but the Russian guy has a gun. Kenny hates the Russian guy, so I'm thinking he probably killed all three of them, because he sees, what he would, I would have to say, sees as a daughter, Clementine, shot, laying on the ground. I would assume that he just killed all three of them, and him and Jane got Clementine in the truck and made off with Fitch. So here's the problem with this particular episode. It kept me in so much suspense. I was so excited. I'm kidding. There's no problem with this episode. It was the best this is the best the series has to offer, I have to say. And I'm really hoping to go for season 3 now. I can only assume by the endings, both the multiple endings that we got, that we can only assume that the next season is not, if we do have a next season, is not going to focus around Clementine. Jeez, this is such a good game. But so you're driving, and Kenny and Jane are having a huge argument. And I forgot to mention, but Jane throughout this entire episode, or ever since she met Kenny, has had a resentful hate for Kenny. And she always wanted him out the picture, or get away from him, or anything at any cost. But she wanted him out the picture, period. And they get into an argument, and Kenny, says that they're running low on gas and they need to go get some. So he goes to get some trucks, and all of a sudden you start hearing these truck shots, and then a bunch of zombies start walking out. And so Clementine, being the only adult in this situation, grabs the wheel and drives. Because obviously she doesn't know how to drive, as she states, "I don't know how to drive!" And Jane's like, "Just hit that thing!" Which I think would have been quicker if Jane would have just, handed Clementine the baby and hopped in the front. But, because as I said, Clementine's the only adult in the situation, she has to do it. And so she's driving, and she hits a bunch of zombies, and they end up wrecking the car. And Jane kind of grabs the baby and just abandons Clementine. So now you're walking in this winter, and I know in my thought I was thinking at this point that I'm thinking for me, I think I might have just given up at that situation. But it's scary. You're in the cold. Although it's so cold, the zombies can't move, and so you're walking, and then you're walking, and all of a sudden you find this rest stop, and you go into the rest stop where you find Kenny, and he asks you where the baby is, and then he's freaks out knowing that Jane had the baby, because that's as Clementine told him. So he goes running out screaming, "Jane! Jane!" And you see Jane walk in, and you're like, oh no, she doesn't have the baby. This ain't gonna end well. Now the baby is AJ, which is Alvin's and the other, I don't know the girl's name, but it's Alvin's kid, and because obviously we can see that Kenny feels so bad about Duck that he probably sees this child as Duck himself, because we know back in the first season how Duck got killed, and his wife is dead, and this baby is probably the only thing that can get his mind off it. So he loves this baby, and just probably as much as he loves Clementine, and he really wants to take care of this baby. He wants this baby to be his own, I guess you could say, and he wants to honor Alvin's memory because he's the reason Alvin got killed, and he feels really bad about it, so he's trying to, I guess it's like kind of like a redemption thing for Kenny. And you see Jane come over, and all of a sudden he starts attacking her. She pulls a knife on him. She pulls a knife on a gun in a fist fight, which is pretty lame for Jane. I mean, I thought she was tough, but you can see that Jane just wants to kill Kenny. She wanted him out the picture anyway, so So they start attacking each other, and after a long fight, she ends up doing something really stupid. She pulls off his bandage and starts digging into his eyeball. And so then we get to the point where she pulls a knife on him, but Kenny manages to get the knife and is about to stab her. So this is the final moments. There's a gun in front of Clementine. You pull the gun, and you either shoot Kenny, or you let him kill Jane. And now, before I tell you about what happens, depending on what you do, or what I did particularly, may I just mind you that, as I said before, Jane and Kenny both have a really close relationship with Clementine. They both, throughout the series, you can see how much Jane cares about Clementine very much. It's as much as Kenny does. Yeah, maybe as much as Kenny does. I don't know quite as much as Kenny does. But throughout the story, they go out of their way to try to make you think that Kenny's just a crazy old man who is just a bitter, crazy, losing his mind. And Jane, she's supposed to be this loner, but the only one she's ever cared about or really let into her life throughout this zombie experience is Clementine. So at this point, you like both these characters very much, and you don't want either of them to die, but they both are about to kill each other, and it comes up to one decision. So what do? I can either press shoot Kenny or look away. And I chose to look away. I did choose to look away. I mean, I like Jane, but Kenny just, it just seemed like he had more of a care in his heart, so it just seemed like, if anybody was to protect you, it would be Kenny, because, he would die. I think he would literally die for Clementine, but as I saw with Jane, she grabbed the baby and just ran. Because, I mean, obviously Kenny really loved Clementine, and just like his daughter, I mean, he would literally went out for Clementine. But as I said with the baby, Jane just kind of grabbed the baby and ran. Of course, it was for a plot device, which I'll get to in a second. But I chose to look away, and he stabs, he kills Jane, of course. Now, here's the thing. Now, you can either shoot Kenny, or you can choose to help Kenny and help him get through this. And so if you don't shoot Kenny, if you shoot Kenny, you're gonna get the worst ending in the episode, and you don't want to get the worst ending, because the worst ending, let's say if you do choose to shoot Kenny, you end up here's where I get to the point. So Jane never really killed the baby. She put it in the car. So if you shoot Kenny, you're gonna get the baby, and then you're gonna end up walking into a bunch of zombies, and it implies that she just went and walked alone, and just headed out into the world all by herself with AJ. She puts blood on them from the zombie and everything. Now, if you choose to let Kenny live, in sense, then you're gonna find the baby, and this is like one of the most loving, the most adorable, most awesomest, just most heartwarming moments in gaming history, for me at least. So if you choose to let, now you can either leave Kenny and say he's too dangerous to be around you, or you can shoot, which if you do, you're going to get that same other ending, which is crap. Or you can say to forgive Kenny for killing Jane, although it seems like if you kill, now I'm just going to get real quick to the point, if you choose to save Jane, she ends up saying that she thinks that Jane's freaking crazy, and that, basically, she's like a retard. And if you choose to kill if you choose to save Kenny, she ends up saying you shouldn't have had to kill Jane. But in my thought and basis, now this is just in my thoughts. If she did kill the baby, now this in Kenny's mind. Now for me, if somebody had the baby and they walked out, and they said, that they just had to do what had to be done, I would not feel safe around that person. I would literally kill. I would in the zombie situation. I would not be around that. I would not want to be around somebody that could just kill a baby like that, and I probably would end up killing them. So in everything, when it comes to the end, I agree with Kenny for reason that he wanted to kill Jane. I would want to kill Jane. I wouldn't want her to be around me or Clementine, feeling that I wanted, because I wanted them to be safe. Somebody that could go out and just innocent, just murder, just plain out cold and murder a living, healthy baby does not deserve to be alive. I think I would really want to kill him. And I'm not bringing up abortion or anything. I'm talking about a baby that's born, right, flush out of the womb. They're fine and everything. Somebody that kills an innocent baby that's newborn. And I'm not saying I'm for abortion, but I'm not saying I'm against abortion either. It all just depends on the situation. And I'll get into that. I'll get into my thoughts on it in a later thing. But I'll just state real quick here, because I don't want anybody, hating on me. I think if somebody got, raped pregnant, then I guess some levels, I guess I'll be all right with it. In some levels, of course. Or, and honestly, I don't really agree with abortion all that much. I think if you're pregnant, you should just have the baby and let it, just give it up for adoption. I don't know. I don't think it's still it's human life. I don't really know my thoughts I'm not really too sure on it. It's like I don't really. It kind of just depends for me. But anyway, so for her to kill this baby, of course, this is what we're all thinking, that she killed this baby. I'm really wanting Kenny to kill this son of a gun, and so that's why I clicked to look away, just to let him kill her. Because the whole time I'm literally standing up in my seat, because I play on the Xbox. So I'm standing up on my feet. I'm like jumping. I'm standing right at the TV. I'm like running around my room. It's hilarious. And I got people saying, "What the heck is wrong with you?" I'm like, "There's a Walking Dead." It was hilarious. I'm like literally right up on the TV, freaking out, because I don't want Kenny to die, or at some levels I don't want Jane to die, even though I think she's a baby murderer. I'm like freaking out though. It's like at this point I'm like, oh my gosh. And so anyway, I chose to look away, and basically, Kenny goes and you find a baby, and this is the most heartwarming moment in gaming history. Is when you choose to save the baby, you're walking up a hill and you see this fire, and Kenny's like, "It's it, we did it!" And then he's like, "I'll race you there," and Kenny goes running, and he's smiling and laughing, something that we haven't seen Kenny do in so long. And I just thought it was so heartwarming, because Kenny's always been like from the end of season 1, he's just been, from the beginning of season 2, he's just been this bitter, broken man. He's literally broken after his wife died. He was somewhat broken after his kid died, but losing all of his family members just completely broke this man. This man didn't have too much reasons to survive or live much longer, and he did it. The only thing he really had to live for anymore was Clementine and Alvin. And seeing him just laughing and smiling and actually being playful for once, it was just so heartwarming. They're running up the hill, he's laughing, and then they get up to the gate, and you think everything's going to be fine and well, and finally we get to see a happy ending for this story, this long deserved story. We get to see a happy deserved ending, and spoiler alert, we don't. Dang it. So he goes up to the gate, and apparently they're not accepting any new members. And we get this just even more sad, but it turns from happiness to complete sad. But and you know that you made the right decision when Kenny starts saying, take the children, just take them, please. I don't want them to stay out here alone. Just please don't make them go out here. Just take them. I'll stay out here. Just please take them. And at this point, that you choosing choosing to save Kenny was the best decision of the game, for me at least. And I was just like, it's just so sad. I literally cried at this point. I was like literally just bawling. It was like, oh my gosh, no. And so, basically I said in the end of the story that I'm not leaving, I'm not staying, I'm going with Kenny. And then it's just like such a heartwarming story. You see them just walk, you see them turn around and just walk alone. It's like walk, back into the woods or whatever, but it's just like, I don't even know how to explain this moment in gaming history. It's the best ending I've ever experienced, especially depending on your choice too. You could get the most crappiest ending in gaming history, or you can get the best or the most sad. And how do you get the most sad ending? Well, that's the thing. You choose to shoot Kenny. When you shoot Kenny, he's laying on the ground, and he's trying to make Clementine feel better. He's like, you made the right decision. He's like, and you're crying. It's just like such a sad story. I'm crying. Like, I decided to replay it, just to see what would happen if I chose to save Jane. And so Kenny's dying. For some reason I'm just crying at this point too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want you to die, Kenny. And on some notes, I'm like, okay, well, Jane's alive. And then it's at this point where the baby's alive. Now, I already knew the baby's alive, and that's what the thing is. I could not side with Jane no matter what. Nothing about me. At the point that I really liked Jane, when I found out this baby survived, I just freaking hated Jane at this point, because just a chance, depending on your choices, that Jane is going to be the one to survive, and then you're gonna find out that she just basically killed Kenny. Kenny just died in vain because this stupid, dumb wanted to show Clementine that he was a bad person, which in reality, if you look at the choice when you save Kenny, it's not the case whatsoever, and it's obviously the fact that if you choose Jane, it's gonna give you an ending which is just like, really, it's kind of a letdown, because in the end, Clementine just is this bitter, she becomes Kenny. She doesn't want to let anybody into her life. She becomes Jane and Kenny, before, if you don't like, she's a bitter, cold, regretful, loner, just like Jane and Kenny at the same time. And it's just like it's like a letdown seeing that she's now this, just what once was a happy, child back with Lee, is now this bitter, dark, soul. And this is if you choose to forgive Jane for killing Kenny in cold blood, or tricking you to kill him in cold blood. Now, if you choose to not forgive her, you just end up walking alone, just like with Kenny, depending on what you choose. Now, back to the point. Now, Jane, I just really could not side with her, and I watched about 4 playthroughs after playing this to see, what other people chose, and just every playthrough, I mean, heck, even PewDiePie's playthrough ends up killing Kenny, and I'm like, PewDiePie, what the heck? You killed Kenny? What the heck is wrong with you? And I mean, it's just, just in the end, I honestly think that if you choose Kenny, you're gonna get most heartwarming, and most sad ending, both. And I just really love the ending. I mean, I liked it just about as much. It's not the best, I'd have to say. I'd say it's just about as good as the ending sort of as good and heartwarming as the ending of The Last of Us. And I mean, at the end, you're like, it's like The Last of Us had such a great ending. I mean, it could be better. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. It was better than The Last of Us' ending. I mean, it's just such a great story. And I mean, just that scene I'm sorry, but I cannot get over just seeing like that, Kenny happy for once. And then, at the end, you see like just everything crushed right there at the end. And I chose to walk with, leave Kenny, like not leave Kenny, but go with him instead of staying in this safe place. Now, if you choose to stay in a safe place, basically you'll see Kenny just start walking, and in that point, you really want to cry. But I mean, I've already cried out all my tears, because I mean, that's the last thing I actually did, and so I'm just sitting there like, oh man. You see Kenny, and he says it's really sad, because he's telling Clementine that he literally says, or not in words, but in just complete, you can tell before, if you choose this other ending, it's really sad too, and probably just as good as the ending if you choose to walk with Kenny. Probably even more sad if you ask me. Basically, he hugs you and he tells you how much, basically he says, I love you, and that then he just says that he's not going to look back because he can't, and so he walks. You see him stop, really wanting to look back, and then he just keeps walking. This is one of the most saddest endings in gaming history, and probably one of the best endings. So guys, if you're gonna do a playthrough by yourself, please, just don't shoot Kenny, guys. Do not shoot Kenny. Kenny is gonna give you the best ending. Kenny, I don't know. I mean, I can't even say he's not really my favorite character in Walking Dead, but at the end there, he became my favorite character in Walking Dead. I mean, during the playthrough, I have to say, or my playthrough at least, it wasn't my all-time favorite character ever, but at the end, it was like just such a beautiful ending. I just really loved it, and Kenny is my favorite character of Walking Dead. I mean, I really liked him. He's probably and honestly, he's going to be my. He's literally. I can't even think about this ending. I mean, I can't even describe how this ending was for me. But Kenny is probably one of my favorite characters of all time, just because of that ending where you go with him. I mean, just that point where he's like, "Please take the children. Just please take them, not me. I'll stay here. Just take the children." It's just like, oh man, he really did care. And then when I played what's her name? Jane's ending where you save her. I'm like, Jane, you are a mother. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, just let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's all I gotta say. Just if you haven't seen the ending with Kenny surviving, then just please check it out. Really good ending, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. It's been Mr. Crazy Jacob. And be sure to subscribe to become part of the Pro Gamer Elite. We are a gaming society built on keeping gaming 20% cooler. Peace.